extravaganza. And our last speaker is David Thomas, Global Program Director for TRIP. Corporate R&D investments for Mars Incorporated. Had a beer with him last night. He's a very interesting guy. He's got some little kids, a little jet lag, flying across the pond to be here with us. But he's the innovation leader at Mars. And he's spent the last 15 years leading early stage product innovation and looking forward to hearing him. So please welcome David.
Right, thank you. Good afternoon. Oh, come on. We don't accept that in Mars. I think we can all do a bit better than that. Good afternoon, everybody. That's it. I really want to create some good track envy so that people in other work streams kind of think, this is the one to be in. So we can have a bit of fun with that. There's not going to be too many words in this. It's all going to be quite visual. It tends to be the way I work. What I'm really proud of, because I don't tend to do this, is I managed to get a shirt that I think the Pantone guys would agree matches the branding, which is an absolute first, so I'm delighted with that. But yeah, David Thomas, I'm from Mars. That is the best line I've got in this deck. Based in the UK, very close to another Cambridge that we have and another Boston that we have. You might have come across them, but I'm not going to mention them too heavily. And what I really want to focus on today is really some of the keywords in them. My whole role is all focused around really transforming innovation through driving capability, and it's all in the pursuit of fueling growth. So they're the key things I want to kind of share with you. And what I'm going to be doing is sharing a bit of the story we have within Mars, some of it personal, some of it corporate, and to try and take you through that. So, Mars, I'm sure everybody here has heard of Mars, strong association with candy. It's a business I'm very proud of being an associate within. That's our language. We call ourselves associates for 26 years. You don't have to say I don't look anywhere near that, but 26 years with Mars, which is a bit of a, oh my word. We're in 78 countries, 35 billion, and we have a very strong culture built around the 5 principles, which is all about quality, freedom, neutrality, responsibility. There's always one of them I always forget. But the freedom principle is, if you think about our segments, and I'll come on to those, is that we're a very decentralized business. So we're not like what I think I've never worked for them, but like a P&G or a Nestle, where it's very corporate, dominant and driven. I work more as part of a corporate donut. The resource sits in the segments, and there's a small corporate team where we drive that from. Brands are a massive thing within Mars, and here are some of them. These are the billion-dollar brands that we have. But I think the thing that's a little bit surprising when you encounter Mars is you tend to think of us as candy. But actually our pet care business is the biggest business that we have within Mars, with brands like Pedigree, which is the world's largest dog food brand, and Whiskers and RC. And I spent probably about 15 of my years working directly within pet care. And then you can see the candy brands in there, and Wrigley, etc. So they're the biggest brands, so that's like pet care and chocolate and Wrigley. And then we have our food brands, if you're familiar with Uncle Ben's rice, Dolmio sauces, those kind of things. And then we have a drinks business as well, which is a bit more of a B2B type business, but if you're familiar with Flavia, drink systems, things like that, we cover all that. So that kind of gives you the remit in terms of what Mars covers. But a little bit from the personal journey, when I started with Mars, there's kind of been a number of it. I started as an analytical chemist. My background is analytical chemistry. How do you make the invisible visible? Is kind of a bit about how I think about it. So I did a lot of routine analysis on protein levels and things in our products and stuff. And I kind of had this realization that routine does not suit me well. Yeah? If you want to get good reproducibility, you want to take the same approach every time. Didn't really connect with me. So I kind of moved on and escaped from the laboratory. It was kind of like the strategy, and moved into production processes and things, which I found hugely engaging, and I did a lot of work around commissioning production lines. And then having built a few of those, I started to get a bit frustrated by the fact that every time I built the next production line, it tended to make the same products as the previous one. And so I got this fascination with new products. So I took on a project called the 180-Day Challenge, which was an R&D demonstration of how great R&D can be by getting a product into market within 180 days. Whole new concept. We did it in 192. The product failed massively well. We knew it was going to fail because we knew that consumer insight wasn't there, and consumer insight were very clear in telling us it wasn't there. But it was a huge learning experience about the importance of innovation as a process, and from there I continued working in the innovation space and working on projects, and then really sort of stepping back a bit more, getting into how we innovate as a business. And that kind of sets the background. And, you know, I thought Mike's presentation this morning resonated quite well, because getting on that innovation journey, it's helpful to have a few people along the way who understand this stuff. And if we went back to FEI 2008, that was kind of like my first major innovation conference I came to, and I had the pleasure of sitting in Peter Cohn's workshop for a day and got a lot of massive learning. And I've been through a lot of events since then, but every now and then you encounter stuff that tends to stick and you find yourself coming back to. And I still have it, so that's always a test if I value it. Can I still find it? And if you were there in 2008, most of you look far too young for 2008, you know, I've still got the presentation that Peter gave then, which was best of the best. Learn, you know, the top practices in the front end. And, you know, for me, front end was always one of these fuzzy areas. So actually, an evidence-based approach to looking at some of this stuff I found massively helpful. And the major conclusions, and I'm going to loosely reference these. I'm very conscious Peter's in the audience, and I could stumble at some point. I'll make sure I keep on track. But these elements for me are still very true in the development and how we've moved innovation in Mars going forward. So I just want to reference some of those as I go through. I've also put the website on there, because if you go on there, you can pull this stuff off. There's still a lot of the papers on there. And I would say to anybody in the innovation space, these things are well worth reading. There's some really good evidence-based research that you can take and apply in your organizations today. Yeah, I'm not trying to do this as a plug, I just think it is really valuable stuff you can put to work. So, a little bit about Mars innovation. Being British, we have a fascination and a fondness for a concept in motoring called the roundabout. Yeah, don't see so many of them in the US. In one city in the UK called Swindon, we have what's called the magic roundabout. If you build on this concept, you can actually connect 5 roundabouts together and create quite a complex structure. And the look on people's faces who drive up to it for the first time and trying to wonder how you get, it's not so much getting onto it, the challenge is getting off it, yeah? I see a few smiling faces, maybe from people who've encountered the Swindon Magic Roundabout. And if you're ever in the UK, it's an unusual tourist attraction should you ever want to go and visit it. But this was a little bit of an analogy for me, where a little bit of where Mars and our innovation journey was. We were obsessed with being innovative, and we were having these groups come together, and we'd be discussing innovation, and we'd be thinking we want blockbusters, and how do we measure it, and how can we be more and more innovative. And we never seemed to get off. We just seemed to go around in endless circles, and groups came together, and we had lots of energy for this sort of stuff, but it didn't really get us anywhere new. One of my colleagues kind of uses the analogy of, you know, those black and white horror films where you put the body into the casket and you just about shut the lid and the leg pops out the other side, so you go and put the leg in and the arm comes in. So we were really struggling at that point, really, to get to grips with this innovation concept. And I think one of the major things for me that came from this is, for me, innovation isn't really the outcome that we seek. What we really want in Mars is we want growth. Growth is the outcome we're after. That is why we invest in innovation. And innovation is really a strategy by which you drive and fuel growth for your organisation. Yeah? And with that bit of reframing, kind of brought some new thinking into the business. Because when you want to be innovative, what it tended to set off, well, what does innovative mean? It means beanbags, it means creative rooms. I'm trying to provoke a little bit. It's the last session of the day. It's post-it notes, it's all that great, cool stuff, it's techniques. But when you focus on growth, it changes, and I think it brings in a far more serious mindset about what we're trying to do. And so when you think about growth as an innovation, as a strategy for growth, then there are a number of ways you can actually do that as a business. So Mars Incorporated has choices on how it grows. We can acquire businesses. So, Wrigley was an acquisition a number of years ago. Used to some dates, but you can acquire businesses. It's a choice for growth. What you can take is you can take your existing products that you have and you can distribute them geographically across the planet, or onto other planets in our case, so I won't go with that. But geographical expansion is a vehicle for fueling growth within your organisation. That's a couple of choices. M&M's is a wonderful brand, yeah? And if you have ever been into Vegas, or you've been into London more recently, or you're in New York, just name a few, we've now got one store in London, we've got one store on 4 floors dedicated to M&M's, yeah? And it's an absolute powerhouse. You can go on the ground floor and you can cross the street in Beatles style with a set of M&M's characters. And that's just one of our brands that you can just take. So you can redefine a whole category in that sense as another option. And of course, there's innovation itself. So there's this recognition that if we want to grow our business, that we have a number of strategies to do that, and innovation is one of those strategies we can adopt. And therefore, if we're going to adopt innovation as a strategy, we really need to be thinking about that seriously in terms of what it contributes to our businesses. Yeah? It's a fairly straightforward point, but for me it's quite a fundamental one in terms of how we think about innovation. So, the connection from that, in terms of getting off that roundabout, was with a senior leadership mindset, was then reframing how we want to approach innovation and how we want to drive growth. Yeah? And what that then led to is a workshop we ran in Chicago, not that Chicago's important to that part of the story, but was really to look at all of our innovation processes across Mars Incorporated. And as I say, we're a very decentralized business, so how Wrigley approaches innovation, how chocolate approaches innovation, how pet care approaches innovation versus food and drinks is different. Our freedom principle is alive and well in Mars. And then if we go into any one of those segments, how we approach it in North America versus LATAM versus Europe versus Russia, again, is different. So what we tried to do in this 3 days was to really look at how our innovation processes work, and then through doing that, to identify where do we have critical breakdowns in our processes. And I could spend 4 days on this, I'm not going to. Yeah? But this diagnostic, really getting down to an evidence-based level of understanding where the issues, surfaced one interesting fact that the biggest area of opportunity that we could really address is how do we do early stage innovation. And what was interesting was somebody like me who works in early stage innovation wasn't the one making the case for transforming it. It was coming from a number of people across all the segments doing this diagnostic saying that is a fundamental area that we need to address. Yeah? And so in doing that, we surfaced some other areas, but I'm not going to get onto those, but that is one of the key ones and was the priority that came out from us. So then this links, and just a quick disclaimer, this looks wonderful in PowerPoint, yeah? Everything's sequential, it all flows, it's a very clear story, but of course the reality of innovation is a lot messier than this, yeah? So I just want to caveat that piece. But again, when you think about innovation in your business and what your ambition is, then if you went back a number of years, what you'd see is we had a large number of activities sat within our segments that was all great ideas and all great stuff, but when you added it all together, what we didn't have was the overarching strategy that set out what our ambition was at the segment level. So how much do you want to grow by? Is that delta on the right-hand side is quite important. If you don't have that, if you've just got a lot of activity, that's great, but it was really important just to say, how ambitious do we want to be? And when we started to have those conversations, what we then realised was our ambition was quite a lot higher than what we were achieving. And to make that difference in that delta that we wanted to achieve within Mars Incorporated within the segments, what that then started to tease out is that you need to approach innovation differently. It's not just about lots of project activities. What we need to more seriously consider is what are the pipelines of activities that we need to drive, and what are the potential programs and larger platforms that we're going to need to get into, something like digital, for example, but something like that. But what are those that then will spawn pipelines and projects that will drive you towards that delta. And again, it's not saying, what would I like it to be? It's about having serious conversations in the business about what does it need to be as a component of our growth strategy. Yeah? I think it's all relatively straightforward stuff in theory, but the application of it in the business and having that conversation is a key point. And the way we've embraced it, the way we've moved our approach forward is very much based around design thinking. That sits at the heart of how we drive innovation in Mars. Just one little precursor before I go into that. The other thing you see for old timers like me who've been in Mars so long is we've seen a shift in the starting point for how we go about doing innovation. So if you went right back to the 1990s, I still remember when brand teams used to come together, and I was there. They would come into the room and we would just start with figuring out what the solution was. We'd just come up with the ideas and say, this is what we need to do on pedigree, or this is what we need to do. So it was, the starting point was really about the idea, what's the solution? Let's just get on with it, let's execute. That, and I mentioned a project we did in 180 days, I'd just like to celebrate the failure here. But that was put in the Belgian market. I'm sorry, I'm going to get distracted. But we moved from idea-centric more into insight-centric. Yeah? So this is really getting into, as Peter talked about earlier, the deep dives, deep consumer immersion. This is associates being out there with our consumers, talking to consumers, understanding needs, need states, etc. And that was a big departure from just doing the idea piece, really moving into that piece. And that continues to this day. Insight is a really key piece. But rather than just do this at the consumer level, where we move to now, and that's some immersion work in India, is more this growth centricity. And this is not just considering the consumer insight or the customer insight, or actually in our world, the pet insight that goes with that, but is also looking at insight across feasibility and viability. How do you start to get into business model? How do you get into that? Yeah. So I've worked on projects where we've had fantastic consumer insight. We've come up with some great prototypes, and we would work away at that piece. But then when you get onto the technical feasibility, you kind of run into a bit of an issue. Because what you've just aligned with the consumer need isn't necessarily feasible as was expressed by the consumer. So there's a tension that you need to resolve for, and you make progress on that, hopefully. And then the next bit you suddenly realise is that there's no business model there. So the approach far more is to leverage insight, and also more these days foresight as well, across desirability, viability, and feasibility. So, moving into the thinking approach, and again, one of Peter's references back in 2008 was identifying that between exploitation and exploration, you need fundamentally different approaches. And it was with this that really the design thinking piece really lined up. And we did a whole load of work around this one, so yeah, again I can see a lot of parallels to what Mike was talking about, but we had sessions with Claudia Kochka talking about it from a P&G perspective. We had sessions with Intui, I think it was Karen Hansen at the time, Doblin, Monitor Group at the time, so we brought a lot of external perspectives in. And I think one of the challenges you have with a word like design thinking, there's something like, if you go on Amazon, 15,000 books on the topic of design thinking. It's one of those words that is very open to everybody. So what we needed to do in Mars was to define design thinking for Mars Incorporated. What does it mean within our associate base so that we can work with it, so that we've all got a common language that we can approach. So I don't think any of these will be really, big eye-opening things, but framing the problem is one of the key ones. We've then got about creating balance. So this is about thinking about desirability, feasibility, and viability, but also macro and micro, insight and foresight, intuitive and analytical. The deep empathy piece, really going deep with understanding consumers, customers, and pets. But that's the deep piece. We need to go with our technical experts around business models, technical people around feasibility, whether that's internal or external, but really getting insight across that piece. Prototyping, The need to iterate, to better work through this stuff to get to a solution is absolutely fundamental to the model. And then finally, making sure we've got the right kind of environment in which we can grow and prosper with this kind of work. So with those 5 pieces are really the bedrock of the design thinking philosophy we operate and use within Mars, and really the core principles at the bottom of it. So I want to step from there and just highlight the first one, which I think is absolutely critical. So on the right-hand side there, you see a model, and this was some work. I encountered this through the SIPSI conference. You might have come across Foresight. You can certainly Google it and find it. And they have a simple tool, which is a questionnaire-based thing where you assess yourself on whether you're a clarifier, you understand the problem, you're an ideator, readily into solutions, developer, take solutions and move them forward, or whether you're an implementer, somebody who just likes to get on and do it kind of thing. And what this is looking at in this chart here, and this is fairly reflective of the senior leadership that we have in Mars, is that what you're looking at here is people's preferences. So this isn't what they're good at. What you're looking at here is what people's preferences are. So Mars has a strong preference for solutions. We love talking solutions. We're a very action-orientated, driven, solution, go-get-it kind of business. So we're easily pulled into solutions. Where problems emerge, we get into solutions. We also like to implement solutions. So it's almost somebody coined the phrase, it's a bit of a dragster model. We get the solution, we want to execute. That's kind of what we want to do. We don't have a strong preference for really understanding what the problem is. Yeah, why bother? You get on and get the solution. Let's drive the business. So, and that really is a big call out because, if you really look at it, understanding the problem is 50% of the solution. And it's a powerful experience for any associates going through sessions where we really tease and pull out what really is the problem that we're trying to solve. And I've seen many aha moments where we've kind of gone through the exercise. And when you value the exercise of understanding the problem, it really makes a big, big difference to moving it forward. So, within the design thinking philosophy that we have, framing really plays this flagship role in how we move it forward. And this is an example, but I consider it a bit of a catalyst, really. We think of management as doing the right things, but leadership is doing the right things, and that's really what we want to focus. And this was a framing session that happened a number of years I was involved with. I got called on, this is when I was kind of working in an innovator frame at the time. I got called onto this project saying, David, do you think you could come and help us out? And I got a bit of background to it, and I said, well, what we really need to do is run a framing session first, just to understand it. And we got this, can't we just get on with it? And I said, well, he said, we can have a TC. A couple of hours on the phone, we can just bash this out and get on with the work. And I go, we could, but I really do think we need to have the face-to-face. It's quite a complex challenge. There's some stuff we really need to get to. So he said, well, all right, on this occasion, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And we'll do it. It's only because I've worked with this guy before that he probably was prepared to go that far. And so we all met up. Lovely place, Yorkshire Sculpture Park, if you've ever been there, my home county, Yorkshire. I'll get on that one. But beautiful place, all these nice, sculptures all set. And we all came together, and I'd set out an agenda that would probably start about 8:30 in the morning, just run through till after lunch. And we had 3 stakeholders in the room who were coming there to provide a bit of context. Started in the usual way, the project team shared the challenge, and then the stakeholders responded to that. And from there, it was fireworks and fascination. And they were still there at 6 p.m. I planned to finish at 2, they were still discussing at 6 p.m. And what you recognise is that once you really got into discussing the challenge, the senior stakeholders, whilst they knew this challenge, and it was fairly obvious at the top level, they hadn't really had the conversation with themselves to really get into the depth and detail of what this was all about. So the project team had a very different position and understanding to the stakeholders. The stakeholders weren't in the same place. But they worked through it. They worked through it. And if you actually think of the business cost, this is the very first step of an innovation process. You think all downstream stems from this point, and the financial cost to your business of putting some stakeholders together on a project team. You don't have to go to Yorkshire Sculpture Park, they do offer good rates. There are other venues that work, yeah? But pulling them together and putting them, co-locating them in the same space and creating the opportunity for discussion around what is the true problem is absolutely fundamental, yeah? Powerful exercise. And so on framing, I've talked about the work we've been doing in segments on setting up innovation strategy, the whole reframe about looking at all the innovation processes. This example here, these are all examples of framing. And framing is heavily leadership dependent. And for me, this is one of the most single important commitments. If I cannot get the leadership to commit to a framing challenge, then are we really serious about this as a problem? Yeah? And if I had a magic wand, if you only took one thing away from today, or anything that I talk about today, it's, that magic moment will be to get framing really, being led within your organisations. And some people think it's about filling out the chart or the template. Well, I've got a template for that. But it's the power of the conversation, really getting to what the crux of the issue is that needs to be addressed. So leadership commitment for me is always a key indicator of success. How well that's done gives me a good indicator from going on. When you understand the problem, problems endure. So you come up with some nice ideas, but if you really understand the problem, it's very galvanising for leadership and really drives the connection. And from that, flows resources, flows all the rest of the stuff you really need the leadership to commit to a project. And it's highly experiential, so I get a lot of resistance to framing. However, when people have been on it, I get a very different story played back to me. Maybe that's just because it's me, but I've had a number of people come back and said, we've framed a number of projects now, and this is absolutely key, we need to be doing this. So we're seeing, a strong uptake on that. And I know Cynthia is proof. She's got 4 framing sessions coming up very soon. Anyway, I'm not going to put you on the spot on that one, but it really is being strongly embraced and adopted, and that would be, one of the key bits. And I think if you look at Peter's research, I'm focusing on framing. 53% of the outcome of innovation activity stems from senior management commitment and the flow of resources and everything. 53%. If you can just get that bit right, just think about the position that puts in you. Yeah? Anyway, conscious of time, I'm going to move on. But the next bit, we've done the ambition piece where we want to grow to. The next bit is, sitting in the corporate, how do we transform capability? And again, I've been Mars a long time. I've seen a number of activities and stuff we do. So we've done lots of work with agencies. We've done stuff, and I've got no issue with agencies, but we've done lots where we just throw it over all the wall, throw a load of money at a big agency and say, go solve this for us, and we get stuff back, and it doesn't tend to work. We've got systems. We had a dream catcher where if you've got an idea in Mars, you put it in the dream catcher, you get a free pen. When you've got 3 free pens, it becomes an issue, because the thing is, well, what happened to the ideas? So we had a repository for catching ideas, but there was no market around those ideas. So there are 5 better solutions today, but again, it was something we tried. Yeah? We've run loads of workshops. In terms of numbers of associates, I've put through workshops before, bums on seats, big numbers. Is it having the impact? No. No, it's not, because it wasn't just the training that was the key piece. And we've had a number of signature processes. We've had all of these bits at different times. But kind of like the realisation when we work through this, and we're looking at it, is what we really need to do is to address all of these elements in one go around the capability. And the great thing I have, and this is post-meeting, so all these smiley faces, but what we have here is a group of experts. This is our core group of experts. We've got a number of experts in the space who represent each one of the segments we have within the business. We've got some external in there, we've got some internal. We've got some R&D people, we've got some marketing background people, we've got some consumer insight type people. Yeah? But that group has kind of come together, and what we're using to drive the transformation is how do we transform capability within us. And so when you think of business capability, there are a number of dimensions, and you've got to hit the whole suite for me. This is the way it works. So the first thing we need is a clear process. because whichever segment we went in, they each had their own one. And what we really want to do is align on a common approach. So we, underpinned by our design thinking principles, we have, we've heard the comments today, well, this has got 5 steps, this has got 6 steps. It doesn't really matter. We have a clear approach that we've aligned on within Mars about how we sequence our innovation activities. So we put that piece. And to get alignment between the segments, that can be quite a tough ask, but we're there. And so if you go into any of the segments, we've got a common position. We've got training that supports the process. So we had training before, but it didn't necessarily align with what our approach was. So this training is all sat there and underpins the process that we have in place. Yeah? And so we've established that piece. And it's a very simple idea. The training underpins the process. Yeah? And together with that, we need a set of tools that then support execution at each stage. Yeah? So, if you get into innovation tools, I think when we first did the survey, we had something like 144 different tools in Mars. If you then ask people to say, and show me how you do use that tool, you then suddenly find that quite a few of them didn't extend more beyond the title. It was kind of like, yeah, well, we've done this, we've done that. So where we move into is actually codifying a set of tools. I haven't got them with me, but I can show you a set of books. They're all available electronically, but we've codified, which is very unmasked. We're not really into writing stuff down, we like to talk. Yeah? But we've actually codified every one of those tools, and that helps you in achieving each of the stages above, and it links with the training. Yeah? See how it's all done the work? And then finally, as with many large organisations, we run on systems. So it's not just paper-based processing and everything, so we've integrated it within our systems as well. So the whole thing works as one. Right at the heart of that, we've got the front-end team, and then first quality principle in Mars, the consumer is the boss. Our quality is absolutely fundamental. It's our first principle. So we have a quality management system, which sounds quite terrifying in conjunction with innovation. But it is really there to ensure that we've got clear expectations set around how we approach innovation, and that we follow through and validate that what we say we do, what's important, we actually make sure that we are doing. And that really ensures we've got the sustainability that we need in the process. Yeah? Now, that's processes, training, tools and everything. But the real key part behind all this is the people, is the associates that we have working on this. And because we now have a common framework with a common language, with a clear set of training and clear tools and everything, is that we can now bring groups together. So when we used to train people before, we'd do it within a segment, within a region, and we'd offer the training. And if you're offered innovation training, everybody signs up because it's cool stuff, isn't it? You get to make things and there's all this lot. So we get a lot of subscription, I'm being playful, but it's cool stuff to do the innovation type stuff, so we got a lot of people signing up. We don't do that now, because we run regionally, because it's the easiest way to pull numbers together, but we work cross-segment, we work cross-function, and we invite those associates who need to have strong capability, in other words, practitioners, into that group. Yeah? And we have lead practitioners in that group who train this stuff. But because we have a commonality of system approach tools, etc., we can deliver this now at scale, and we can build community around it. So we can connect, we can do that face-to-face, we can have those connections, and here we can see some of the characters at work. And you can't always be face-to-face, so we also have tools like Yammer and SharePoint, where electronically you can connect. So if you want to reach out to other associates around front end, you can do that. It's all on Yammer, and we're just using external platforms to connect. There was a guy in Grundfos who taught me this trick, because he said, do you use Yammer in Mars? And I just laughed, because no, we don't really do that. But he said, it's my number one tool. If he wants to know what's happening in Grundfos, he was using Yammer as his primary communication channel. And so we've got something like 270 associates, all connected through front-end framework, and it's a self-managing community. If you need to know about it, that's where you go, and that's where you hear about the projects. Okay? And then SharePoint. We've had so many platforms, but I finally feel in Mars we've finally got to a platform that seems to be sustainable. And we just put all the books and all the tools and all the case studies and all the examples, open access. If you need it, it's all there. Rather than David Thomas, can you send me the latest? It just becomes chaos, so it's all centralized. And again, back to Peter's share back in 2008, this point about effective network teams and leaders are more important than any processes and tools. And I tend to buy that. I think, the people are the heroes who bring this thing to life. But if within Mars we didn't have a common approach with a common language and standardized tools and everything, it would be impossible. It'd be like the Tower of Babel. You wouldn't be able to have that conversation. But we've now got a common approach and language. There is a clear leadership expectation that this is what we're deploying. And by transforming that capability, you're equipping teams and leaders to be able to act. And what we've got now is we've got associates who channel their innovation energy into what they're delivering, rather than coming up with creative ways of how it might be delivered. Which is really where we are going to fuel growth from Mars, focusing on what we're going to deliver to consumers, customers, etc. And that's also having an impact because it's really driving a belief in our internal capability to be able to deliver these kind of projects. The more we do, the more we can demonstrate to the organisation that actually our internal Mars capacity is able to drive these kind of changes. So what about business impact? This is where I'm supposed to pull up the 1, 2 big innovations that I can put on screen that will underpin the whole thing. I'm not going to do that. This is part of a journey. It takes time for these things to embed. But what do we see today? Well, we've got over 40 case studies of real projects across all segments that are applying the approach. Yeah? And they're not doing it because David Thomas thinks it's a good idea. I think the segments are doing this because they see value in the approach, they see it working, and they're encouraging more and more projects to adopt this. Yeah? So we're getting real projects. And where projects are doing it, it's great getting a 3M story or the iPod story, but what you want is the internal examples. You want to be able to see real projects in your own business that demonstrate how these tools work. You want to know who to connect with, so you can work out how to apply it. And because we've got that common framework, we're able to do that. So we've got the examples, we've got the projects that's being used. We're getting pipelines now coming up, get reported back to me, where we are seeing significant value in our pipelines, that when the innovation work comes through to fruition, delivery to market, we're getting the kind of numbers we need that fuel our innovation strategy. Framing in some segments is being mandated for certain projects. So we're seeing this strong commitment behind framing and framing practice. Like I say, Cynthia's got 4 coming up. I think as Mars, we're getting the framing piece, and we're looking that one in there. Metrics. If we start looking at some of our metrics that look at how effective some of our ideas are, I've seen some real step change in some areas on there. So talking to the food segment recently, they've seen some big step changes in some of their concepts and how that's starting to look, which again is reinforcing what we're doing. And if you look through the community, we've trained over 900 people in this kind of stuff, which is all big stuff, and we're building a community. Now it takes time, and there's still a lot more work to do, but we're really starting to see the fruits of that coming through. So to summarise, framing, this whole piece about really understanding your problem and using that framing piece as a mechanism to engage senior leadership in what's needed to drive your front end is a key piece of it. Again, if you look at Peter's numbers, 53% of the outcome of your projects is determined by that, which is powerful. If you just take that on board, that is a big deal. And you can see why it's lodged in my brain ever since 2008. And I continue to repeat that to the senior leadership. They're still not buying it, but that is, it's fundamentally that key leadership piece. If they're behind it, it's a big impact. And if we engage them through framing, it helps them understand and see that. Getting serious about our innovation ambitions, setting out the strategies, being really clear about what do we need to achieve in our segments versus our innovation, our growth strategies to say what is it we need to hit. That really is a key piece. It's moved us from an agenda about being innovative to really one about how do we fuel growth. And that's the second piece. And then finally is about building that practitioner base, about and equipping those guys with those best practice capabilities such that we can lead those more explorative type approaches that can then deliver on that ambition and deliver the change that we need to see from Mars. And again, another big thing, that percent is 24% of explored area. So they're the three key messages I want to leave you with. And I think, other than that, and a few smiley faces, the whole aim, was to better connect with you guys. Definitely take a look at that article if you haven't been on that website. Take a look. But this is where we are now versus where we were back in 2008, and I'm very happy to connect and continue. I come here to learn, take more stuff away, and certainly the Roberts, the Bob Sutton stuff today is giving me more fresh stimulus to think about how we accelerate scaling some of this. So, thank you very much. Have you got any questions?